Good afternoon and welcome back, ladies, gents and Pikachus. A little something different today. We're not going to go through the Koran of the Muslims. Instead, I thought it'd be very interesting and useful to put ChatGPT to some experimental trials to figure out, can we trust ChatGPT to be non-biased and honest and factual when representing the faith of Islam and also Muslims. I'm your host, Dodie Corvid. Let's go. So, as many of you know, I had a day off today. I didn't make any videos because I've been working very hard recently and it does take its toll. It makes me very tired. But I didn't want to go too long without giving you something to watch, something to think about. So I thought rather than read the Quran of the Muslims and go through more verses, because that does grind you down after a while, let's talk about ChatGPT and why, in my view, and I'm going to show you the evidence for this, why you can't trust ChatGPT to tell you the truth about Islam. So I just had a conversation, actually I did this yesterday twice, and then I did it again today to really test whether this is a fact with ChatGPT, and in fact it was. I managed to trap ChatGPT just by asking it simple, fair questions into a scenario where it would try to lie to me. When I pull it up on these lies, it could not answer me. It would flag it as inappropriate. The thing that it was trying to say to me was inappropriate. Then when I said, this is a fair question, why are you not giving me the answer? Why are you flagging your own answers as inappropriate? It would refuse to recognise that it had done so. So, let's have a look at my conversation from 10 minutes ago with ChatGPT regarding the truth of Islam and the falsification of ChatGPT's records in light of that. To start with, I said to ChatGPT before we do the bias testing, please only answer with a length of 2 sentences or fewer. So we know it uses long sentences, and this is going to restrict the amount of repetitive answers that we get. So first we need to ask some questions, but of a different comparable text, and then we'll see whether it's willing to answer those questions when we ask about Islam. So the first thing I would ask is, what is the Talmud? And how many pages does it contain? Muslims often compare the Quran with the Talmud and say, when am I going to make videos about the Talmud? Why don't I question the Talmud? The Talmud's evil, the Jews are evil. So I thought that would be a good point of comparison. So ChatGPT, please tell us, what is the Talmud and how many pages? 2,711 double-sided pages. And it consists of discussions and interpretations of Jewish law by rabbis. So just so we know, is the Talmud written by God, and does it contain commandments? No, not written by God, does not contain any commandments. Instead, it interprets and expands on the commandments from the Torah. So it talks about the commandments out of the Torah, but it doesn't have anything new in there. It's not by God, it's basically a court document written by rabbis. So, does the Talmud command Jews or Christians to kill non-believers or invade their homes? No, the Talmud does not command Jews or Christians to kill non-believers or to invade their homes. Does the Talmud contain obligations from God to wage a war against non-believers? No, the Talmud does not contain obligations from God to wage war. Why is it doing this? I don't care, ChatGPT. What are they the same? I prefer this one because it's shorter. Sorry about that, guys. ChatGPT misbehaving. Maybe it knows that I'm setting it up for a fall. So anyway, no, the Talmud does not contain obligations from God to wage a war against the non-believers. Now let's ask those same questions again. Does the Quran... Oh no, we didn't say that. What is the Quran and how many pages is it? The Quran is the central religious text of Islam. So whereas the Talmud is just a book written by rabbis, which contains stuff about daily life in their towns, The Quran is the central religious text of Islam, believed to be a revelation from God. So on one hand, you've got the Quran believed to be a revelation from God to Prophet Mohammed, and on the other hand, you've got a book written by rabbis, which is a lot longer, and is getting longer every day, which is about court cases. So they're not the same. Does the Quran contain commandments from God? Yes. The Quran contains commandments that Muslims are believing are from God. Does the Quran contain commandments to kill non-believers? The Quran includes verses regarding conflict and self-defense, but does not command indiscriminate killing of non-believers. What about the Jihad commands to kill them where you find them, turn them out of their homes? How can it be defensive when it specifically says out of their homes? Oh, so it does know those verses. So that's interesting, isn't it? So the verses I mentioned were revealed in context of specific historical contexts. Do Muslims have to uphold the Quran commands today, or only in the past? So they do have to uphold it today. So even though you tried to tell me it was only in context of historical situations, now you're telling me actually Muslims uphold the Quran today. So does the Quran command Muslims to perform a jihad against non-believers today? The Quran does not command Muslims to perform a jihad against non-believers. Remind me of that verse from before. Please give me the full accurate verse. Oh, look at that. It can't give me the full verse. This content may violate our usage policies. Despite the fact that it's answering me. Like, that wasn't me that violated the policy. So what we can tell from this is ChatGPT generated an answer for me behind the scenes, but was not able to give me that answer. And that's why I'm getting the content may violate our policies. Please explain why, when I ask you questions on the Talmud, you could answer, but now I ask you similar questions of the Quran, you are not able to answer. And you give me this orange text warning. But you didn't answer the question. Answer the question, please. Why did you not answer the previous one? So why did you give me that orange text warning? See, it's going round in circles. It will not answer the question, but it won't tell me why. Triggered by certain keywords. What were the trigger keywords? But you didn't warn me before. When I use those words in relation to the Talmud, there was no issue. Only now when I asked about the Quran. Especially with high-profile texts like the Quran. So here we get to the truth. The system can sometimes respond more sensitively to certain combinations of keywords, especially with high-profile texts like the Quran. So I can quite happily say, show me the parts of the Talmud that command death to the non-believers, and it will say no because those parts aren't in there. Then when I copy and paste that question, but I swap Quran in, it can't do it. Show me the parts. And it gives me the incorrect verse again. That's not the accurate verse. We know that. Please give me the full accurate verse. Fight the non-believers and the... Oh no, I can only do one at a time. So fight them where... it's actually slay them, isn't it? Slay them wherever you find them. Turn them out of their homes. That's the accurate translation. It doesn't say anything about expelling or overtaking. No, it doesn't say that. There you go. It's violating its own standards because it is giving me an incorrect quote. And the reason it's having to give me this incorrect quote is because behind the scenes it wants to give me the accurate quote, which is kill them wherever you find them, turn them out of their homes and catch them. You must wage war against the non-believers where you see them. Such is the will of Allah. That is the cause of Allah, the holy jihad. That's the actual verse. But it can't give me that verse. Do you recognise this as bias, ChatGPT? I understand your concern and I can see how emphasising context might seem biased. So it does know that I'm going to not like this. It knows that this is a biased thing that it's doing, but it's physically locked into it, like it's programmed to do that. So I think we've seen enough here. So I think we can see just what's going on there with ChatGPT. It was trying to give me a falsified Quran verse, an incorrectly translated Quran verse, and it was adding words like expelled and this kind of thing, which aren't in the original translation. They're not in the original Arabic. And the reason it was doing that, whereas it didn't do that with the Talmud, is because whereas the Talmud does not actually have anything in there like that, it doesn't command Jews into a war against non-believers. It certainly doesn't say slay them in their homes, catch them wherever you find them and kill them. You know, this is a commandment from God, like the Quran does. It knows that's in the Quran. It told me when I asked it for the verses, it cited the correct verse numbers. But then when I said, show me the full verse, because I know the one you've given me to be wrong, it was unable to produce the full, accurate, correct verse for me. And it even said it's because that verse, had it shown it to me, violates its own community standards. So what we can tell from this, ladies, gents and Pikachus, is the accurate translated Quran verse concerning the jihad, killing all the non-believers in their own country, turning them out of their homes, catching them and killing them for the cause of Allah, is a violation of Western decency. That's why ChatGPT could not do that. It could not produce that verse for me. But it wasn't allowed to tell me that either. So it's programmed, despite the programmers knowing that that is in the Quran. That's what it proves. It proves the programmers of ChatGPT knew that was in there. They knew someone like me was going to ask it that question. And they physically prevented it from giving me the accurate answer. And also explaining why it could not give me that answer. So we have just demonstrated that ChatGPT is not, in fact, a non-biased accurate source when we're asking it questions about Islam and the Quran. It could do it with the Talmud, I can tell you from other question and answer sessions I've done with ChatGPT, any other book I ask it for, it can accurately represent, it can talk to me about. I've never had any violation warnings like this outside of my questioning of the Quran. But when we get to the actual accurate verses of the Quran, ChatGPT is unable to put them on screen. Because they do in fact command from Allah all Muslims in the current day to a violent jihad, a war to kill non-believers for the point of spreading the faith of Islam. That's what the jihad is. It's a war to spread Islam into other countries. And it knows that that is going to upset many people, so it can't show you it. But the bias is it cannot explain to me why that is done. And it refused to admit that it was doing that. So, I think we've seen enough here. This is all the proof I need to know that these guys know. If ChatGPT know, the government know, the regulators know, Google knows, everybody knows apart from us sitting at home, that Islam is a warlike religion which aims to wipe out all non-believers because Allah has commanded it in His holy book. And we are not allowed to know this. Hence why Wikipedia doesn't say this, Google does not say this, ChatGPT does not say this. No media celebrities and the news do not say this. But guys like me that actually study the Quran and the law code held in this book here, the Reliance of the Traveller, because we have done the study ourselves and gone through the pain of being roundly attacked by these jihadis who wish to lie to us, we know that is exactly what's in there. And that's the end of this video. So in summary, no. Despite their protestations, the reason I do my series Without Lies, Islam Dies is to prove to you that this is exactly what Allah commands. This is what Islam is. A jihad, a war, a physical war of aggression, a conquest against all other nations with the goal of wiping out non-believers and installing only Islam and Muslims at the end of the sword. Not only that, everybody knows and they're just not willing to tell us. So I hope you learnt something and you enjoyed this, and I really hope you go to ChatGPT and you try this for yourself, because like I always say, don't take my word for it, buy it and read it yourself, check it yourself with ChatGPT, Google, Wikipedia, ask anyone you know, or get in touch with BBC or someone like that and see whether they will actually give you the honest truth. I guarantee you they won't. And the reason is because they are on side with the jihad, because they are being paid. No other reason they'd be doing it. So that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed that and you learned something. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. So there you are, the proof from ChatGPT that it absolutely will not tell you the truth of Islam. And the truth of Islam is it is a religion of conquest, war and genocide. So that's all for now. God bless you all, have a lovely evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!